Welcome to the Enchanted Archives, where folklore meets forgotten history and the past refuses to stay buried. This is a space where ancient legends, eerie truths, and unexplained mysteries are brought back into the light, one tale at a time. Hidden deep within the empty quarter desert lies Ubar, also known as Iram of the Pillars. Mentioned as early as 300 AD, Ubar was famed for its vast wealth derived from the lucrative frankincense trade. Ancient texts, including the Quran, describe Ubar as a paradise built by King Shaddad, whose arrogance led him to challenge divine authority. According to local folklore, in approximately the 3rd century AD, a divine punishment buried the city beneath the desert sands overnight. But folklore adds layers far more sinister than mere divine punishment. It's said that the king, obsessed with building a city that rivaled paradise, turned to forbidden magic. Some versions of the legend claim he summoned djinn, powerful, otherworldly beings, not as allies but as slaves, to erect the towering pillars and golden walls of Ubar. Bound by ancient incantations, the djinn obeyed, but with each stone laid, their hatred deepened. One night, as the king celebrated his godlike creation, the djinn rose in rebellion. With howling winds and churning sands, they buried the city whole, dragging its inhabitants into the earth. Travelers and nomads who've crossed the empty quarter speak of strange occurrences, of camel caravans that vanish in the night, of disembodied voices calling their names, and of phantom cities shimmering on the horizon, only to disappear as they approach. The Bedouin call it the Ghost City, and warn never to follow the glint of light after sunset, for that is when the spirits of Ubar seek new souls to join them. One chilling tale passed down by desert tribes is that of a British explorer in the early 1900s who claimed to find the ruins of Ubar. According to his journal, he described an ancient well in the center of crumbling walls and heard chanting in an unknown language. He left his camp to explore, only to vanish without a trace. His camel returned days later, blood-stained and alone, the explorer's journal strapped to its saddle with the final words scrawled in ink. They're still here, watching, waiting. To this day, satellite images hint at ancient roads beneath the sand, roads that converge where Ubar may have once stood. But perhaps the city does not wish to be found. Perhaps it sleeps, waiting for another arrogant soul to disturb its rest. I'm Ahmad Mansour, and this is the Enchanted Archives. Petra, established around 312 BC by the Nabateans, is a striking city carved directly into sandstone cliffs. A marvel of architecture and mystery nestled within the mountains of southern Jordan. But beyond the breathtaking facades and tombs lies a darker undercurrent, one tied deeply to local Bedouin folklore. For centuries, Petra has not only been celebrated as a feat of human ingenuity, but feared as the dwelling place of the djinn, the supernatural beings of smokeless fire who live just beyond the veil of human perception. According to legend, the Nabateans made a sacred pact with these djinn in exchange for protection and prosperity. Petra flourished for centuries, its carved walls glowing red under the desert sun. But as the city grew powerful, its people allegedly broke their covenant. Some say by defiling sacred sites, others by using djinn magic for personal gain. As punishment, the djinn are said to have descended upon Petra one moonless night, spiriting away its inhabitants into the darkness, leaving behind only stone and silence. To this day, Bedouins refer to Petra as the cursed city. They avoid the Seek, the narrow entrance gorge, after nightfall, claiming it becomes a portal between worlds. Whispers echo off the wall. Some say it's the wind, others say it's the voices of those long taken. Shadowy figures are sometimes glimpsed darting between the ancient structures, vanishing just as quickly. One chilling account comes from a shepherd in the 1970s who ventured too far into the site after sunset. He claimed to have found a hidden doorway within one of the tombs, behind which he heard music and laughter. When he returned days later to show others, the doorway was gone. He never spoke again of what he saw, only muttered the word djinn before falling into silence. Petra is not merely a relic of the past. It is in many ways a city suspended between worlds. A city that may not have been abandoned at all, but reclaimed. And if you listen closely amid the echoes of forgotten footsteps, you might still hear them. Hatra, located in modern-day northern Iraq, rose to prominence between the 1st century BC and the 2nd century AD. It was a city of immense power and mystery, famed for its immense fortifications, its syncretic mix of Greco-Roman, Mesopotamian, and Persian religious practices, and its almost supernatural resilience. Twice it resisted Roman siege under Emperor Trajan and Septimius Severus. But while history credits military might, folklore insists there was a darker force at work. According to Iraqi legends, Hatra was guarded by priests who had mastered ancient rites and blood rituals, protecting the city with magical wards. These priests worshipped a pantheon of gods now forgotten, their temples echoing with chants said to repel invaders not just physically, but spiritually. However, in 241 AD, Atra fell to the Sassanid king Shapur I. Folklore holds that the city's king betrayed the sacred covenant with the high priests, exposing the city's divine protections, in exchange for his own safety. The betrayal did not go unanswered. The priests, realizing the end was near, gathered in the temple of Shamash and called upon the old gods. What followed was not merely a siege, but a cursing. Flames are said to have engulfed the city without burning a single stone. Screams were heard for days, yet no bodies were found. The invaders who entered Hatra reportedly began to go mad, plagued by visions and inexplicable illnesses. Even now, local villagers avoid the ruins after sundown. They speak of shadow-like figures roaming the broken archways and of an eerie hum that resonates from the once great temples, too rhythmic to be the wind, too hollow to be alive. One modern tale tells of an archaeologist who in the 1990s uncovered a sealed chamber beneath Hatra's central temple. Within were undecipherable tablets and strange horned statues. She began to suffer from sleep paralysis and nightmares of burning cities and whispering men in robes. Her journal, discovered after her disappearance, ended with a single phrase scribbled over and over again: "The guardians walk at dusk." Hatra may have been forgotten by time, but according to legend, its priests never left, and neither did the curse. Established around the 8th century BC, Marib was once the crown jewel of the ancient Sabaean kingdom in modern-day Yemen. Known for its remarkable engineering marvel, the dam located in the city at its river, it transformed desert lands into lush fields, enabling the city to become a thriving center of trade and agriculture. But this prosperity came at a price. Historical records note that around 575 AD, the dam suffered a catastrophic collapse, likely due to years of neglect and environmental strain. The result was the decimation of Marib's prosperity and an exodus of its population. However, local legends tell a more ominous tale. According to Yemeni folklore, the people of Marib had grown arrogant, scorning the gods and hoarding their blessings. It is said that they began worshipping idols of gold and ivory within the dam itself, turning the very symbol of their survival into an altar of greed. The gods, enraged, sent a massive torrent known as the Flood of the Dam to wash away the city's sins. Elderly tribesmen speak of nights when the winds howl through the ruins of Marib like a choir of the damned. Shadowy figures are often seen wandering the ancient foundations at dusk, believed to be the spirits of those who refuse to repent. One popular tale speaks of a wandering merchant who sought shelter in the ruins during a sandstorm. As the sky darkened, he claimed he saw lights flickering deep within the broken walls. Following them, he found himself at the base of what looked like a newly rebuilt dam. But the people inside were not human. Eyes black as obsidian, skin marked with ancient runes. They offered him water, which he refused. When he awoke the next morning, he was back outside, parched, alone, and clutching a gold coin stamped with a sigil no historian has ever identified. Other stories speak of a cursed well beneath the ruins that still holds the original waters of the dam. Those who drink from it are said to gain prophetic visions, but also lose their sanity. Archaeologists visiting Marib have often reported malfunctioning equipment, strange dreams, and feelings of being watched. Some even claim their field notes mysteriously rearranged themselves overnight, as though the past was trying to rewrite itself. Marib was not merely lost to time, it was swallowed by a force much older and more vengeful than history dares to record. And perhaps, beneath the broken earth and shattered stones, the gods of old are still waiting. Zerzura, first described in 13th century Arabic manuscripts such as the Book of Hidden Treasures, is one of the Sahara's most enduring mysteries. Said to lie hidden somewhere between the sands of western Egypt and eastern Libya. Zerzura is often called the City of White Gold. It was described as a lush oasis surrounded by mountains and white buildings that gleamed under the sun like polished ivory. But unlike other oases, Zerzura was believed to be protected not just by geography, but by something far more spectral. Bedouin tribes tell of ghostly warriors clad in ancient armor, guardians who do not bleed, do not speak, and do not die. These entities patrol the invisible borders of the city, turning away or sometimes absorbing those who try to force their way in. Folklore insists that only the chosen or the cursed can find Zerzura, and once inside, they are either showered with untold treasures or condemned to eternal servitude within its glistening walls. The 1930s saw a renewed obsession with Zerzura during a series of expeditions led by the British explorer Ralph Bagnold and Hungarian desert wanderer Laszlo Almasi. One team reported finding strange stone structures and ancient writings that hinted at a city buried beneath centuries of sand. Another spoke of a lone survivor from a failed journey, a Libyan guide who returned delirious, claiming he had drunk from Zerzura's spring and been spoken to by the white-eyed ones. His story ended with a cryptic warning: the city chooses, not you. One particularly disturbing tale comes from a French pilot in the mid-20th century who crash-landed near the supposed location of Zerzura. According to his distress logs, found weeks later, he saw a white city in the distance and walked toward it for days, only to find himself back where he started. The final entry in his journal reads, "They walk behind me now. I dare not turn around." Some archaeologists believe Zerzura may be a distorted memory of a forgotten caravan city, or a mirage born of extreme heat and desperation. But the legends persist, and so do the disappearances. Modern Bedouins still refuse to go near the area without ritual protection, and some speak of an ancient curse tied to the city's name, whispering that it was once a realm of powerful sorcerers, whose sins were buried by the sands, but not erased. Perhaps Zerzura remains cloaked from the world, not by nature, but by will. In April 1925, British explorer Percy Fawcett embarked on an expedition deep into Brazil's Amazon rainforest in search of a legendary city he dubbed Z. Indigenous legends stretching back centuries spoke of a golden metropolis guarded fiercely by supernatural entities. Fawcett's cryptic letters describe increasingly strange encounters, including warnings from local tribes of monstrous protectors, entities disguised as jungle beasts, cursed to eternally guard the city. Fawcett vanished mysteriously alongside his son and companion, leaving behind chilling local stories that perhaps the city of Z itself had claimed them, ensuring its secrets remain buried forever. We'll venture next into deserts haunted by phantoms, sands concealing horrors far older than history, and finally, a city whose very existence the world still debates, though its folklore remains all too terrifyingly real. But first, stay with us. More shadows await after this break. In 1587, English settlers founded Roanoke colony on an island off North Carolina. By 1590, all 115 settlers had vanished without trace. The word Croatoan, carved into a post, remains their only clue. Local Algonquin folklore recounts that settlers dabbled in rituals, unwittingly awakening ancient spirits dwelling in the forests. Native legends persist about spectral figures seen roaming the area, believed to be the settlers themselves, eternally trapped between worlds. Lost cities haunt our imaginations, not merely for their treasures or ancient splendors, but because of what they represent. Our fear of the unknown, the dark corners of our histories filled with warnings we chose to ignore. Perhaps these cities were never lost. Perhaps they were hidden intentionally by something older, something wiser, or something far darker than we dare imagine. If you enjoyed this episode of the Enchanted Archives, follow us on Instagram, Threads, TikTok, X, and Facebook. And don't forget, the full episode is also available on YouTube with Arabic subtitles. Share it with someone who loves ancient mystery, or someone who thinks curses are just bedtime stories. When you find us, leave a comment or a sign you were here. I like it when people leave breadcrumbs. This episode of the Enchanted Archives was written, produced, and narrated by me, Ahmad Mansour, with research by Samar al-Murali. If you'd prefer to explore the archives without interruptions, you can subscribe to the Enchanted Archives on Apple Podcasts for an ad-free experience. It keeps the stories flowing and the silence intact. For now, see you next time and stay spooky.